Hello, everyone. Brother Al McClaney with this week's stewardship video. And this video is centering on the topic listening to the world's counsel. Before we get too far, let's read the disclaimer. No advice should be seen as recommendation, as I am not a licensed financial advisor and it's for educational purposes only. As I make this video, this is the Saturday after Black Friday, which got its name because, well, and it still happens, I imagine, years ago, or it was noticed that companies may be operating in the red, in other words, not profitable, until they got to this big shopping day after Thanksgiving, in which, based on the sales, it would go to black, meaning they are now profitable. So I started thinking about it's nothing wrong with shopping and having a good time after Thanksgiving, but if it starts to frame your way of thinking and it becomes more important to God's word or his principles or way of thinking, we've fallen into listening to the world's counsel. So let's look at 1 John 2:16 Amplified. It says, "For all that is in the world, the lust and sensual craving of the flesh, and the lust and longing of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life, pretentious confidence in one's resources or in the stability of earthly things, these do not come from the Father, but are from the world." And I like the way the Message Bible puts it. It says practically everything that goes on in the world, wanting your own way, wanting everything for yourself, wanting to appear important has nothing to do with the Father. It just isolates you from him. So what we're saying is, again, nothing wrong with shopping, but if it starts to affect your vision at looking at the Father as being sovereign, and we need to follow his instructions when it comes to our money or his money and his resources, then we're taking the world's counsel. And you can see here's a depiction of, in years past and even now, what Good Friday could look like. Not Good Friday, but Black Friday. It's marked by shopping and crowds, and some people getting just feverish about buying things, big screen TVs. And here becomes the problem of us listening to the world, because the number one way often to pay for those is to fund it through credit cards. And we know that the Bible does not prohibit debt, but it has some stern warnings about using debt. Proverbs 22:7 in the Message says, "The poor are always ruled over by the rich. So don't borrow and put yourself under their power." New American Standard Bible version is, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower becomes the lender's slave." So we know after a long period of debt, irresponsible use of credit cards, even having a too large of a mortgage, this can make a slave to whoever that organization is, Visa, MasterCard, or the bank that has the mortgage. Romans 12:2 has our answer. New Living Translation says, "Don't copy the behavior and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect." And Dave Ramsey, he's known for his Dave Ramsey rants. He's got a great one that talks about, being normal in this world and what that define as. And we'll get to that as soon as I do these statistics that show, what's going on right now on Black Friday. So the one to the left, and you can see my cursor, the weekend estimated is that 163.3 million people are expected to shop versus last year, 158.3 million shop. So we can see that the world economy is starting to get back to normal after that, COVID pandemic, or as it's going on. And I also looked at the Federal Reserve had some statistics that they quoted from Equifax about, we're seeing quarter over quarter increasing in mortgage debt balance, home equity, revolving credit, auto loans, credit cards, student loans, and then other type loans. And we can see the credit cards are depicted here in this dark blue, and you can see steady increasing as we go into this was first quarter 2022. And I know this latest is not on this chart, but there was a statistic that took it, I think it was like $240 million added in debt in third quarter. So as we've always talked about, change your paradigm, look at these statistics, and maybe it generates some ideas. Again, not meant as a trade recommendation, but one of the things you may want to do is participate at the more positive end as this debt goes up. So some of the ideas may be to invest in Visa card, and that symbol is V, MasterCard, which is symbol MA, or there's a retail online exchange traded fund ETF called iBuy. Then this financial sector ETF is IYG, and the IYG would give you exposure to Visa, MasterCard, and there some of the financial institutions that have a lot of larger credit card offerings. So this is an idea that could be generated by that. So here's that rant I was talking about with Dave Ramsey, and it's about 3 minutes, so let's listen to it.
This is the Dave Ramsey Show. That's how we roll here, people. We're going to tell you the truth. And it's always weird, because let me just tell you what normal is. 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The number one cause of divorce in North America today is money fights and money problems. The typical student goes to school and comes out with $30,000 to $100,000 in student loan debt. Most of you are walking around with an average of $10,000 to $25,000 in credit card debt, and you have car payments, and you think car payments are a way of life. You'll never have a car without a car payment. And you live your life and you work your whole life and you have millions of dollars of income come into your house throughout your working life and flow back out. And you have nothing to show for it. You retire broke. Financially, you're a freaking rat in a wheel. Normal is broke. Looking good. Impressing people at the stoplight, and all your broke friends think you're okay because you're just as normal as they are. But you don't be normal. It's unusual to be wealthy. Behaviors, decisions, and habits and character traits cause you to build wealth. And if wealth is unusual, then unusual behaviors, habits, and character traits are necessary for you to become wealthy. You can be normal. Normal is pretty easy. And you can look like you're having a good life, but you'll be stressed and you have no money. I mean, it's ridiculous, you guys. The amount of money you make in your working lifetime, and you get to retirement and say, I sure hope the government, which is well known for its ability to handle money, will take care of me. That's just straight up stupid. Whatever everyone else is doing with money, you need to run the other way. Get out of debt, house and everything. Quit borrowing money. Start investing steadily, constantly, consistently. Cut up your credit cards completely, all of them. Stuff's not hard, you guys. This is how it's done. Be weird.
I like how he ends with some steps you can take. And of course, you can go out to davesramsey.com and you can actually purchase his online course and go through it yourself, or you could look for places around the nation. A lot of people still doing it online, so that could be a step. Putting up your credit cards, start saving this day, and it's not the amount, but building the habit. Even if it's $5 a week or $10, building up that habit, starting investing. If you have a 401k at your job and you've not been doing it and you have free money, carve out where that could be. And we've done a lot of series on, spending plans and creating that. So as Dave says, you don't want to be normal, you want to be weird. So want to change up and start looking at this week's earnings release. And we always look at earnings because we know it affects the market in certain times, depending on what's being reported. And this may affect this week because you've got some large retail type reports going on, this Dollar General or Kroger, Ulta. Now, it's not going to move it probably like an Amazon, but when you do it in totality, the market's looking to see, is there going to be a Santa Claus rally? We talk about that, where there's so much sales being pushed that it affects the prices, people look and say, oh, there was a record number of sales at Five Below, or Victoria's Secret had record numbers that participate on Black Friday. So this will help. Where's the economy going? But I will show you something coming up where there is signs the economy is definitely fully recovering from pre-COVID. But remember, we still got the recession looming because of all the interest rates hikes that the Fed is doing. And next week, I'll take a look at that projection tool that we like to look at. But there was some verbiage from the Fed that they may be slowing down the not the frequency necessarily, but how large the increases have been, which they've been doing like 75 basis points. But here is a TSA checkpoint travel numbers. I haven't looked at this in a while, and you just type in Google TSA checkpoint travel, and you can see this chart yourself. So last Sunday and Monday, there were, through 2022, the travel numbers that are on that day was actually exceeding the 2019 pre-COVID numbers. So we know 20 and 21, right in the middle of the pandemic. 2019 was pre-COVID, and we can see on that Monday and Sunday going into Thanksgiving that these numbers actually exceeded the 2019. We also have on the 25th, which was Thanksgiving Day, in which, I'm sorry, yes, the 25th was Friday after Thanksgiving. We had a large travel day where it actually exceeded the 2019 numbers. So ideas that we can generate from this, maybe I've mentioned before, airlines, exchange traded fund, JETS, JETS, leisure and entertainment, PEJ, exchange traded fund. That's where you get some exposure to Disney. Disney was in the news lately. Bob Iger is back. The highly successful CEO has come back after about a 2-year retirement to run Disney. Global travel beneficiaries, in other words, companies that benefit from global travel. This is an ETF, JRNY. And as you always, if those of you who frequent this video know, you can go out to ETFDB, that's ETFDB.com, and you can put in these symbols and you can see the individual companies that are in this exchange traded fund. And maybe you want to open up a Charles Schwab account, or if you've got a Fidelity account, and use fractional shares, or Charles Schwab, they call them stock slices, where you don't have to pay the full price. It could be in like $10 increments. So just ideas to generate some investing type things you may want to think about. So we end by looking at the overall market. This is QQQ, which is mainly technology, smaller companies. We can see slight rally happen on like that on that Wednesday, because the market was closed on Thursday and then opened only a half a day on Friday, which ended with some selling. But we're still in this kind of support and resistance channel here for QQQ. So let's take a look at SPY. Similar, but it actually broke out of this resistance on Wednesday, and then it also ended with some slight selling on Friday. That's where that red is. And now, so what was resistance before could possibly become support, and the next big level of resistance is several dollars away. So with that, I want to end this week. We'll be going into the first days of December next week, closing out this video for end of November. So hopefully all of you had a safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving week. Hopefully you didn't extend yourself too much on Black Friday. Hopefully you also have created a spending plan for going into the holidays, so we're not overspending, but staying within the plan that you put together. So as always, as my Pastor Denny White Davis says, have a good week and keep a good spirit. And as we say on the stewardship video, remember, Jesus is Lord. Therefore, we're following his counsel. Unlike the title of this video, we do not follow the world's counsel. as we are under his sovereign rule and we follow his biblical principles. So we'll see you next week.